So I'd like to introduce our panel, which is Can You Buy Success in Electronic Music? I'm joined by Ralph from Mobley, Nick from Coda, Martin from DJ Mag, and Clark from Beatport. And I just want to set the scene a little bit. So I guess those that can remember 10, 20, 30 years ago in electronic music, there was this kind of landscape where there were those that made music and those that played music, and never the twain met that often. And as time has gone on and the evolution of the DJ producer and the DJ producer with his own label and the DJ producer with his own label or his or her own label, we've started to see some evolutions of what becomes important in the music industry. And some of those things that have become important have become the elephants in the room that we want to talk about today. And I guess what you've started to see is the ever-increasing importance to a DJ producer of a chart position, because the chart position drives the number of gigs that they get as a DJ, and therefore the number of gigs they get as a DJ becomes important when it comes to the DJ Mag Top 100, because the position on something like the Top 100 drives the amount you can charge for the gig. And so you get into this kind of circular relationship where the more you sell, the more you gig, the more important it is to get money for when you gig, and then you get this really interesting pressure, because you then get your 50 emails a day that label managers will know saying, buy your SoundCloud plays, buy your Facebook likes, buy your Twitter followers. And you get into this interesting place where arguably people can buy success in their career. I want to turn first to Clark. I think even on Monday, I saw a Facebook post alleging that one or two DJs were buying their own tracks to gain chart positions. Could you just talk us through what Beatport does to mitigate against any interesting practices and what kind of fraud measures you've got?
We really look at it very closely. We take action. There's takedowns. We don't make it easy for a label that's having that problem. And many times, it's not the label that's causing that problem, we find. But at the end of the day, these services that are advertising their success are fraud. It really doesn't matter if it's the biggest name in the scene today or this week versus someone who's brand new and pops in. It's pretty clear to see, and we usually catch that before it hits even the top 10. So a lot of times it's really actions taking place before it really ranks up to that level.
So Martin, equally, I think over time the DJ Mag Top 100 DJs has come under some interesting, scrutiny. That's a good way of putting it. It's become very much the centre point of the top DJ calendar. Rumours float about of DJ teams going out with iPads and saying press like, press follow. Bought votes that drive bookings. Can you talk to me about how much you see that? What do you do to defend against it?
Where we can obviously see that a certain individual or their team has engaged someone to create fraudulent votes, then we'll contact them directly. We'll give them a chance to explain how they see it, and where we're certain that they've done this maliciously, again we'll remove them. There will always be people that try and manipulate it, and I think that's probably just indicative of the importance that the poll has reached.
So Nick, I'm going to turn to you, because Coda is certainly in the kind of the top two, arguably, in terms of roster management at the moment. You could kind of look to the guys at the left of me, is that everyone's trying to influence and find their way up those league tables, be it sales or popularity, to try and get on your books. How much attention do you pay to followers and plays and chart positions? What does it mean to Coda?
I think the stats are undoubtedly important when anyone's taking on, if a label's signing an artist or an agent is adding something to their roster, or a manager, across the board. I think that's largely down to the fact that we live in an online world now, and we don't live in an analog situation that you described when there was that barriers of entry to people who made music and people who played music. And to a certain extent, it is, I don't know, it's, stats can be clearly manipulated, but you eventually get found out if that's all you've got. If all you've got is 1 million Facebook likes from robots that don't exist, when you do a show or you try and sell an album or you try and sell a single, there isn't a real audience for what you do. So you can try and manipulate things, but you've got to have some genuine talent or some sort of content, some piece of music that, you know, in the same way as it did 50 years ago, same way as it did 5 years ago, in the same way as it will in 10 years' time, that touches people, that people like, that people want to consume. And it's just now all the stats are laid out in front of people's eyes. Whereas before there was one chart for the top 40 and you know, one newspaper or you know, there was one top newspaper and there wasn't it wasn't so visual in front of everyone. So, but I genuinely think we live in the most meritocratic sort of times that there is. Like, if you're good and people think you're good, then you'll succeed. And if you're crap and you buy loads of Facebook likes, it won't last very long. I've got an artist on my roster is Bond Acts, and they've always had, you know, pretty respectable, more than respectable, like exciting numbers when they've put stuff up on SoundCloud. They're the 7th most followed, I think, SoundCloud electronic artist in the world. And that, as far as I know, has never been manipulated. That is that is people genuinely liking their music and them having the right sound at the right time and building an audience. But if you look at someone like Kygo, those numbers when he first started were just incredible, and it kind of it so seemingly came out of nowhere that you would be stupid to not sort of question whether that was genuine or whether that was you know, like very, very heavily manipulated to make him look bigger than he was. And you know, when he actually released music, people liked it and it started to chart around the world. And when he started to put tickets up for sale in America and then in Europe, people started to go to the shows. And then you realize that you can go from zero to hero quickly in this, you know, in this kind of modern landscape, quicker than you ever could have done before. But if you know, if all you've done is concentrate on building your social media platform, but you haven't actually written a hit, then at some point it doesn't really mean anything, I think.
Nice one, Nick. So Ralph, you head up a very cool Berlin label, Mobile. You must have to wrestle with all kinds of issues, both in terms of bookings, in terms of signing talent, signing A&R. Talk to me about how important a role social media and SoundCloud and various other social medias are for you.
Yeah, first of all, in the last years, we got a lot of offers to manipulate numbers on YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, but this all goes in the trash or in the spam folder, of course. So what is the reason to betray yourself? And how embarrassing is it if you get caught? You can throw a lot of money into something as a big industry player or as a big management company, but you will never be able to set up a second Berghain or Bar 25 in Las Vegas. So you can't buy magic, or how much money is talent or passion or love.
From a very personal and professional perspective, I kind of worry about how our industry is perceived if to gain success, individuals in our community feel that they need to buy likes and buy fans, and it's almost, you know, it's kind of like what comes first, the follower or the fan. And I guess there's a kind of worry that we should hit on, which is what's real.
I think this kind of probably brings up a wider question about about social marketing and creative marketing, and probably an understanding of how savvy the audience is. I don't think if the audience is savvy enough that it realizes that, you know, it's not being manipulated, but it's being advertised to, however that's done, whether that's done through, groups on Facebook, you know, surreptitiously kind of pushing forward tracks or artists, or, you know, however it's done. As long as the audience is savvy enough, It's just another form of marketing. I don't think it's, but i.e. the end user will understand what's real and what's not.
There are lots of acts out there that are there are some that are reputed to have done it, and their careers are often on the way down already, and they've only been around a couple of years, and no one will care who they were in 2 or 3 years' time. Whereas, you know, I want my roster to be still working in 10 years' time. So, yeah, it just doesn't. And also on the thing about buying success, I'm not sure it's ever really been that different, actually. I mean, record labels would go and buy singles from record shops when they existed and try and get their records higher up the charts. So it's always sort of been there, I think.
So somewhat disappointingly, gaming has always been there, but certainly a fake career is a quick career. Martin, do you think you can buy a career in electronic music?
I think you can. I think you have always been able to, you know, buy a, you know, a market position or whatever. I think what, sorry, I'm losing my voice. I think what may be surprising people and catching them out in terms of how they understand is simply the speed at which it's happening now. Audiences that may have taken, you know, a DJ 20 years ago, literally 5 years to gain by good old-fashioning, standing in front of them, you know, and playing to 2,000 people week in, week out. You know, those kind of audiences and ginormous audiences, way bigger than that, can be got in a matter of months. And I think that's, I think the speed at which, you know, those audiences can grow is making some of them appear, you know, or people have mistrust in them because they can't appreciate that someone might have turned up literally overnight.
I think every artist needs to decide themselves what kind of success are they looking for.